for the daughter's body. The father decided to lock her up and enjoy her slowly. Very soon he came up with an idea. First he sent his wife away on purpose. Then he pretended to ask his daughter to help carry something. The rebellious daughter surprisingly agreed this time. But when they got to the basement, Amy discovered there was a hidden door behind the bookshelf. She found it hard to believe, but since it was her father, she didn't think much of it. It was this natural trust that dragged her into an endless abyss. A wave of fear surged through her heart. After screaming at the top of her lungs, she tried to unlock the door, but the father clearly wouldn't give her any chance to escape. Even worse, if the wrong password was entered 3 times, the room would automatically lose power. Even the ventilation fan would stop working. Then she found a flashlight and screamed into the air vent with all her strength. But when the father heard the sound outside the door, he simply covered the vent with a blanket and stacked clutter on top of it so that no one would ever find out. That night, the whole family sat in the living room, discussing how to find the missing daughter. Only the father sat silently on the couch. Soon it was the second day. Amy was still trying passwords, but nothing worked. She lay hopelessly on the floor. Amy, who had been violated, curled up in the corner crying in despair. From that moment on, her life no longer had a father in it. And when facing Amy's boyfriend, the father claimed she ran away with some thug a few days ago, told him to forget about her and never look for her again. The innocent boy thought he'd been betrayed and left with a face full of disappointment. During the 21 days of captivity, the father brought some supplies. He even pulled out a cake from a bag and gave Amy a long dress. The small room that once had just a shower was now completely filled, which also meant Amy had suffered countless times. She had gone from a young girl to a pregnant woman in her 10th month. Her water was about to break, and her father was nowhere nearby. All she could do was follow the book and give birth on her own. Do this, then that, finally screaming in unbearable pain. With the cry of a baby, 19-year-old Amy became a mother for the first time. But she didn't know her daughter was imprisoned by her husband in the basement and had already given birth to 2 children for her own father. The father moved back and forth between the 2 families every day, playing different roles. Amy's daughter had started learning to draw and write. She proudly showed her father her progress, even though she didn't understand whether the man in front of her was her grandpa or her dad. Helplessly, she took out 3 flashlights and started playing games with the children. Just moments ago they were full of stress. Now they were smiling with joy, despite the terrible environment. Amy's attitude was incredibly rare. In that sunless cage, she silently endured everything for her children, burying all her pain deep inside. Just to make sure her kids could feel some happiness each day, she happily called out to her husband, but didn't notice the note in the basket. The father pretended to know nothing. After his wife left, he quietly picked up the note. That night in front of Amy, he read the message aloud. He felt Amy had been living too comfortably lately. As punishment, he threw the red dress at her, and Amy had no choice but to accept it. But for the sake of her children's mental health, Amy still found joy in misery. She knew it had to be caused by rain outside. She asked her 2 children to help move some things, then slowly climbed up and tried digging through the wall using a spoon. As she kept at it, the hole really started to get a little bigger. By midnight the 2 kids had already fallen asleep, but she kept digging. Thankfully, persistence paid off. Amy finally made a small opening. She quickly stuck out her flashlight to signal for help. From how she fought back against her father, to being locked in the basement, until her son asked that question again.
When did you meet Dad?
That woman outside is not my aunt. She's my mother. John is her husband, and he's my father, but he's also your father. The daughter couldn't accept the truth, and her asthma suddenly flared up. She had to lean against the vent to breathe. Amy kept telling the kids. He saw the eldest daughter seizing on the ground from an asthma attack. Amy begged him to take her to the hospital, or it would be too late, but the monstrous father didn't care. He refused, afraid Amy would expose him. Desperate, Amy promised she wouldn't say a word if he saved her.
Dad! Please, I just want to be with her, please!
After Amy repeatedly assured him. The movie is based on a true story. Elisabeth Fritzl from Austria was imprisoned in a basement by her own father for 24 years starting at age 18. She gave birth to 7 children. Not just 4 as shown in the movie. The real world is far more cruel than any film. The trauma she endured over 24 years will take a lifetime to heal.